I am Shayna Woods, and my company is Shayna Woods Productions.
Hey, it's Kellen. And today on Diversified Game, I have a friend, neighbor, all that good stuff, Palm Beach County, home. I have Miss Shayna Woods, and she's going to tell us all about Shayna Woods production. She is all about the dance. So if you want to be like, have a career in dance, have a career in, the things that are so natural. She can do a lot of different things, but I want to focus first on the dance and let her tell you why, Miss Shayna, welcome to the show. Why dance? I'm sure so many people in your life have tried to tell you there's no money in dance
Oh my
unless,
gosh.
so tell us
Yep.
the game. Give us the game. How did you get here and to make a living at dance?
Well, there were many avenues, just like everything else, just like life. I am one of those, oh, I started when I was 3 and all that good stuff. Actually, my mother was like, this girl's always moving around. She's always jumping around. She's always doing something. It was really like to get the energy out so that I would take a nap. That was how it all really started. My mom was like, let me just put her in some dance classes. And she pridefully says, I was one of the only kids who were actually paying attention to what the directions that the instructor was giving us. But I've always loved dance. For me, it wasn't really until the 8th grade that I was like, I think this is really what I wanted to do. Um, but I've done a lot. I began wanting to be a prima ballerina, and I was swayed. We'll keep it positive because there's always a little bit of foolishness in there, but I was swayed to focus more on modern dance. And although like I was really adamant about being a ballerina, I'm grateful that I chose the modern and contemporary West African, like more cultural dance path, because then I really got to know like who I am and who we are as a people, as people of the African diaspora. And my body just felt real good, doing all of these moves. Through dance, I've been able to travel the world. I've gone to New Zealand, which is one of my favorites. Like, I did not want to leave. I've traveled all over the United States, all over North America, and a little South America, the Caribbean islands, all of those. And I look forward to seeing what else happens next. There are some things that are coming up and that I'm also claiming that will happen as a dance artist, because I am still performing. And then also, is a mode of healing for me. I was able to I'm really able to articulate where I am, how I'm feeling, what my energy is in that time through movement. So, pain to purpose is what is very common at this in this life. Um, I've had traumas happen, and I've been able to heal from them through movement, through moving my body, and it gave me a different language that works for me, um, in order to navigate and, push away the foolishness.
Can you talk about the foolishness? Because we are all artistes. I call myself a P artiste
Mm-hmm.
because of the PR, and then put the art in it. Creatives, even as a new sports agent, I find myself having to be creative in how do we just do deals and how do we better our clients. But in art, we're all kind of have like the same thing. Artists are I'm not going to give all the secrets out, so don't worry, because I don't want people, to try you. But we all have our ways where we're very loving, or we can go the other way and be very, aggressive. And you can put the love and the aggression together.
Yeah.
And, that's just how we are. But that comes, you said, out of trauma. Can you, a teachable lesson for someone, whatever your trauma is, you've used dance, and it wasn't that you were on the big stage, getting that out. It was that was just what you did. Like, how can someone take hold of their trauma right now? They're going through it right now, whether they lost a loved one, they made a mistake, they're trying to get back. Do you have a class or a course that they can go to and say, I can get my trauma, let me heal through dance?
Absolutely. So I have a program called The Art of Acceptance, and it's focused on movement through, it's focused on healing, healing through dance, movement, and meditation. So we talk about acknowledging our pain, acknowledging our emotions, because I feel like a lot of times when people don't, I'll use myself for example. I used to bottle things in, and like you would see it, like I don't have a poker face. So if I feel a way about something, you're going to see it. However, I wouldn't always know how to say it or articulate it. So now I start to, okay, let's put these hands together. Like, this is one of those things. You put your hands together, you create this fire in your hands, and wherever your hands go, maybe it may be your heart. Just taking that deep breath. Movement, movement and dance is not always like kick your leg up and, hit your forehead with your knee. Like, sometimes it's just sitting here in stillness. Like, that is still movement, because your body is your breath, your lungs, every cell in your body is like going. And how do you direct that energy in a way that works for you in that moment? So we talk about accepting where you are. I believe that acceptance and healing is really an art. I believe in beautiful and not pretty. I feel like, can I cuss?
You can do whatever you need to do.
Yes. I give myself permission, but this is also someone else's space. Pretty is superficial bullshit that can only take you but so far. But beautiful, it can be ugly, it could be gooey, it could be sticky, it could be it can be grand, it could be tiny. It has more texture to me. So art is all of those things. And when you're accepting who you are, like, you also have to accept like the ugliness of the thing. So yeah, we talk about all of those things. We talk about tapping into your energy and finding the beauty in yourself. I tell this story all the time. Like, I didn't always accept everything in my on my body, in my body. So like my hips. That was something that was always, as a dancer, we're supposed to look stick thin and all of these different things. So it was something that was always poked at. But what I did to combat that was I started telling my hips, like, I love you. Like, you created a whole life. Like, you gave birth to a whole life with these hips. And just started to appreciate my body, and saying affirmations and all of these different wonderful things, using body butters to affirm our skin. It's a lot, and it's wonderful and it's beautiful. And if you are willing to go through the process, because it's not always fun, but it's always worth it. Come on.
And those hips, are black hips. I mean, I know dance, predominantly you're supposed to look like a Mzungu maybe, and like this.
Yes.
But we need to be us. In the words of Sammy Davis Jr., I just gotta be me. And That's interesting that dance has helped you, embrace all of that. Now, for the person, who might be 14 right now and say, I want to do dance, but the only professional dancers I see now are, in music videos, or maybe they're
Mhm.
on So You Think You Can Dance. My wife and I, we've seen that live, because if she wasn't what she was now, she would be a dancer. And
I so believe that.
yeah. And so I say she is a dancer. She just doesn't make her money at that, right?
Right.
But when you see So You Think You Can Dance, there's only so many slots. And you
Hmm.
hear that even in professional football or basketball, that we almost break kids' dreams saying, well, there's only so many slots. Well, then let me go grab them, or let me go make a
Yes.
new slot of my own. So
Yes.
how did you go, say, I'm going to make a living at this when there are only so many slots? Did you try to do the So You Think You Can Dance, the music videos, and every, Broadway? Or
Hmm.
did you always want to like stay in a certain lane?
Oh, there's so many ways to answer that. Um,
Take your time and answer them every which way you want to do it.
I sure will. Um, I'm not a big competition girl. So you think you can dance and all of those like big competition dance programs I was not a fan of, and that also wasn't a part of my training. I did a lot of conservatory work, which means that you go from studying specific styles of dance and you go into dance companies. And I will say, um, we're everywhere. We are all over the place. Dancers are everywhere, and dance is everywhere. It's on TV. It's next door to you. It's down the street. It's there are dance studios literally everywhere, and I don't think that that's by accident. Um, Dance is a beautiful outlet, so sometimes people think it's just like, oh, we're just like trying to get energy out. But what you're actually doing is you're learning how to communicate in a really beautiful way. Um, so I have done some Broadway work. I have done. There's a new show, a new show called A Wonderful World. That was the last musical theater production that I was in. We're looking forward to coming back because it shut down right when COVID reared its ugly head. Um, Ugly, beautiful, whatever works, however it happened for you. Um, for me, I danced with companies for about 15 years of my life, and I had a lot of fun doing it. I started out on my own in Chicago. I trained with a company called Deeply Rooted. It's a primarily black dance company, and I do remember having this this fear or inhibition of being in a more mixed company, dance company. Because one of the things, like sometimes you feel like you, and we're back. So yeah, I did do a few musicals, along with A Wonderful World. I did do The Wiz. Most of them were local, and within the past few years, I did The Producers. I did Man of La Mancha, and those were really interesting. Um, let's see, so dancing in primarily black dance companies, I had an intimidation or a fear that maybe I wasn't good enough to work in more diverse companies. And that just wasn't true. It was just like something I needed to get over. And I usually ended up being frustrated at times, dancing in more like diverse companies, because I would be told like, you're doing so much, and but in a like, like that negative connotation, and it's
That Karen, yeah, that Karen
yeah,
town,
I'm
yeah.
actually just like, I'm like at a 3 versus the 10. Like, what are you talking about? Um, but they were good learning experiences. Like, they were things that I needed learning in, like, oh, like, you're more than good enough. Like, you're overqualified in many different ways, and that's okay. Um, and also realizing, I'm actually more interested in working with my own people. Like, I don't, it's not that I will say, like, I don't want to work with you because, like, I'm not that person. It's more so about energy. But I will always tell the youth, don't just dance on stage. The real money is what happens backstage. Even the person who just like pulls the wing open and closes it at the end of the show, they make a lot of money because they're getting paid hourly, and they can work at other theaters, and they can work at different concerts and all these other things. So working more in the background in production is something that I am kind of like tapping into a little bit, because I do actually am realizing, like, I enjoy the production side of dance a lot more, and also because I'm tired. Like, I want to
Okay.
be able to sit down more, give other people directions and tell them what to do versus me being the one doing it.
Well, I think and I feel always like this energy with you where I'm like, yeah, she might be able to read my mind a little bit because of course I want to talk about money. You said a key word, and that was going to be my next question. I'm glad you allowed the segue.
Hmm.
But can you tell for the young person who wants to dance, trying to convince their parents or the parent listening, saying, my child wants to dance, how are they going to feed themselves? I've seen that dancers make nothing, but now you've talked about even the person, opening the curtain. Where should someone be, or where could someone be, who's put in the time as a young person? What's a good check? What can they expect to live on? I tell people, if you want to be a journalist, you might live off $35,000 a year.
Hmm.
Everyone's not going to be Anderson Cooper. You're going to have your all stars, but in dance, do you find that you and your colleagues are there's plenty of work, and maybe it's a 6-figure flip or
Hmm.
7-figure, but how does someone even get there? Like it's hard. Is there a good book? So just give us the game on where dancers, if you're good and you've been doing this for 8-10 years, where
Hmm.
you should be, so we don't have people feeling like, dang it, I'm just waiting on my big break. But maybe dance isn't their thing and they should try something else if they haven't got
Hmm.
to a certain level.
Yeah.
Or if they've been getting ripped off, they're like, wait, hold on, I didn't know dancers could make $300 an hour or whatever the fee is. I don't
Hmm.
know what the going rate is. So
Right.
give us some insight on that, just so we can have some clarity.
Okay. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. Dance is tough. Monetarily, it's tough because I feel like, and me saying that I feel this way is not just because I'm the only one that feels this way. I really believe that we are very passionate people, and a lot of us would do this for free. And because we're so passionate about it, it gets taken advantage of. Um, there was a article that came up a few months ago saying, like, we're the most athletic athletes and we're the least paid, which is like, we knew that. It's one of those things, like, we already knew this, and what are we doing about it? Nothing. Okay. um my advice would be to decide what you want. There honestly is not a real salary um, that we make. I've made anywhere from $20,000 a year to $15,000 a year. I've made $30,000 a year. And it's a lot of time it's because I was dancing in the company, and then I would go teach classes at different studios. I'm also a teaching artist. I would find or I would be invited to perform at different events outside of the company. And depending on who is running the company, sometimes they don't like that. They want you to only work for them, which people will try to pigeonhole you, and that's in life. Like, it happens if you allow it. But you also have to, like, what I'm learning now, and I wish I knew this like at 20, but being able to say no is really, really, really important. Or to say, like, okay, and then go do what you need to do. Advocating for yourself is really important in the dance world. So there, like I said, there's no real range of how much you can expect to make. If you're a teacher, if you're like teaching in schools, then you make what teachers make. But if you're a teaching artist, you may make like $50 to $75 an hour for a regular class that's happening once a week or twice a week. I feel like you really get to negotiate more and more the longer you've been in this dance world. Where I would say the people who make the most money are principal dancers, and they're usually principal dancers because they've been dancing with that company for um, 5 to 10 years plus. The owners of those companies, they make a lot of money. Trying to think who else. Funders. And again, production is major, because again, like, you're not tied to just one thing. Even freelancers, they do well, but you may have like a good run for 6 months, but you may not get that money until 3 or 4 months after the gigs are over. So just like actors, people who do commercial work, they may see themselves on TV, but they may not get a check until 2 to 3 months after production is over.
So you said a lot about the dance money, and somebody will say, well, wow, okay, I thought it was going to be I'd be on stage on Broadway and I'd be a multi-millionaire Broadway star, in the words of Jennifer L. Lewis. And I love her book, and that's where in prepping for this interview, I went back to the information in that book, because I get Jennifer. I get it. I feel the vibe. But you also have Lavish Loving, so you're doing dance, and you're in Lavish Loving, folks. Links will be in the description. Is your product line where, okay, if dance maybe won't have me at a consistent income and where my goals, you have a product that's beautifully packaged, by the way. So tell the people about Lavish Loving and why, what makes it stand out.
Yeah. So Lavish Loving is an all natural product. I'm really proud of my Lavish Loving baby. It started because my daughter, I have a daughter, she's 8 now, and she's going to be 9 next week. I don't know what to do with myself. Oh my goodness. But she has eczema, and I've never really been a fan of products that have a whole lot of stuff in it and you don't know what it is. Whenever we would take her to the doctor, they would try to give us steroids, and I was like, nah, not doing that. So I started doing research. Um, I've always used shea butter primarily. And then I started, doing research on, okay, like other than, okay, it's great for dry skin. A lot of Black people use it. We understand that. We all know that. But like, what else is there? And it was like, oh, it's, in my research, oh, it's great for eczema. Okay, well, let me start using that. And it's still, her eczema still wasn't healing all the way. We did a lot of the home remedies using lard, Crisco, Cetaphil, taking oatmeal baths. Those things, they kind of worked, but then it would still flare up. So outside of changing her diet, taking out as much dairy, because we still love mac and cheese, but it's got to stay. Grandma makes it, we got to eat it. So outside of taking care of what she's eating on the daily, I started doing more research. So there's an oil called Blue Tansy, and using actually have it with me right now. Calandrial silver. This is one of the things that I use in specifically her product. And I also whip it because shea butter is hard. It's like hard as a rock. You gotta like scrape it in there. So I whip it to what I call perfection. And it's nice and soft. And I started using it on her skin. And within 2 weeks, it was like her skin was clear. And I was like, oh, I think I have something here. So we just started using that. And I actually started out with Lavish Lovin' making like scrubs and bath salts because I'm a dancer and our muscles get sore. So I started making them for myself. And whenever I would come to dance class, people would be like, what does that smell like? What is that is that in your hair? Is it a hair oil? What is that? And I was like, oh, it's just like a scrub that I made, or, oh, I soaked in my bath salts last night. And I started giving them out as gifts. And my mentor was like, don't you give away another nothing, because these are amazing. They smell fantastic. Like, you need to start selling these. And it still took me about a year to like really believe like this should be out there. And once I started selling it, people were buying it up and, hey, do you have any more? And, oh, I want to give this out as gifts and different things like that. So it's really been doing well. My favorite right now is the mango butter, especially since it's summer. It's a lot more light. And it does come from the mango nut. I'm not using like the meat of the mango. I have to be clear because I have had these questions. I don't suggest that you eat it because, again, I have had people like, oh, it's a butter, and like put it in their mouth. And I'm like, oh God, I'm not responsible. I'm not responsible. I clearly said this is, you know, yeah, this, I clearly said it's for skin. Like, I'm just gonna pray. All I know how to do is pray and dial 911. But yeah, I make mango butter. I use all natural products. I use essential oils. I make bath salts, bath scrubs. I make a turmeric mask that I love to use. It's really transformed my skin as well. Like, I used to get really bad acne, and now I only get like one or two every now and then. My daughter's skin has been clear for the past 2 years now that I like created the shea butter. I call it shea butter lovin' for eczema. Um, and yeah, it's been a really great experience because, creative people, we don't do just one thing, we do a lot.
Yes, and even try to put us in a box,
Yeah, man.
because I tell people, not even in 80 plus years, and when I elevate, no box, no box,
Mhm.
nothing like that. um do you have anything for those of us who have love locks, or have hair that we can put in our hair that's just will have us smelling like we want to be followed down the street? Sometimes you'll be riding your bike, you'll be running, and you'll be like,
Mhm.
man, what is that? And you
Yeah.
say, I got, I ask people, I'm like, hey, what are you wearing, or what do you have? So I always tell people mine is natural scent, but if
Mhm.
people share, I just,
Right.
do you have anything for those of us who, have the love locks?
I personally do not make a hair product. I do have suggestions. And I am working on some things as well, some oils as well. So I won't talk too much about it, but coming soon.
Okay. No, and I'm glad you won't talk too much about it here, because as of, last week, you started your YouTube. And again, folks, check out the links, below, whether you are listening or watching. Most folks will be listening to this at this point, but you started your YouTube, where I can't wait for you to show us how you do this, some of it behind the scenes, right?
Yeah.
Minus your secret ingredient when you put your finger in it and give it that love.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, but with all the success that is to come, because the best is yet to come,
Yes.
what is a community give back that you are doing, or that you would like to do in the future?
So the art of acceptance, I also use my Lavish Loving products and as a part of the program. And one of the things that I would love to do is to have a family day where we do talk about movement and healing. And community is big for me. It's really important for me. So I would love to have a family day where it's not just me, because I'm only one person. And in order to have community, you have to have more than one person. You have to have multiple people spearheading and leading the project. So I would love to have a family day where we are dancing, moving, creating, singing, um, and we get to create products that they get to take home with them. Maybe the mango butter or the shea butter, and they get to scent their own and personalize their own moisturizer to their liking. Like what better way to have a healing mechanism than one that you created yourself?
I like it. I love it. And I want, before I give you the last word, I want people to know, when you reach out and you want this healing, know that Shayna is allergic to foolishness. Just
Yes.
know that, and she's peaceful right now. And
Yep.
if you like that, say allergic to foolishness, that should be a shirt. Again, check the links below, because she
Yep.
already has those shirts, and she has shirts where you can represent self-love is every day.
Yeah.
So I just want people to, really tap in, tune in. Don't want to give them too much of the
Mhm.
game, but tell the folks where they can find you, and any last words that you want to have.
Yeah. You can find me on social media. Instagram is Shayna L. Woods, as well as Facebook. You can go to my website, www.shaynawoods.com. And if you go to any of the links in my bio for Instagram, you'll see, my shirts. Um, Yes, I'm allergic to foolishness is a t-shirt, as well as self-love day is every day. I believe that we should not just celebrate ourselves on Sunday. Self-care Sunday is important, but how are we doing that every single day? Even if it's just looking at yourself in the mirror like, girl, you are dope. Like you are really beautiful. You really out here doing this thing, hyping yourself up. Self flirtation is a class that I do also teach. So, however you want to reach out to me and for whatever, I am open. Um, I'm an advocate for rest. I'm coining myself as a rest activist. I believe that we should sit down, get somewhere and sit down, like our grandma tells us. Um, so, if you want tips on how to rest, I will be doing some fun things. I'm looking forward to this new YouTube channel, even though I've been like, what do I want to talk about? Just like jumping out there and do it. That is one of the many things I'm working on. Final words: celebrate yourself, love yourself at all times, do it when you're scared, especially when you're scared, because then there's more gratification. There's gratification and there's reward in all of these things. Um, and yeah, I love you.
Love you back. You guys have gotten the game. If you love someone out there, make sure you share the game. If you do nothing else, it will change somebody's life.
Hi everyone. Have you ever been curious about visiting Africa? Which African country were you interested in? Kenya, Nigeria, Uganda, South Africa, Ethiopia? Which country are you interested in? My good friend, Kellen Cash Coleman, came up with a course called My First Trip to Africa that'll guide you through this process. It's only $20, and in this course you'll learn about passports, visas, vaccinations that you need before you go there, as well as a budget, how much the trip is going to cost. He also talks about what you should pack, what you should take with you, how you should travel on a budget. Did you know that $100 is worth 1,000 South African rand and over 10,000 Kenyan shillings? So imagine what you can do with $100 back home. I say back home because I'm from Sudan, I'm African, I already know how it's like. I know that, when you convert Canadian and American money, it goes a long way when you're traveling across Africa. So if you're curious, if Africa is a place that you've always wanted to go, always wanted to move there, Kellen Cash is the person to ask. Check out the course. There's a little preview you can listen to before you actually purchase it. If you're interested in this course, visit www.diversifiedgame.com. Don't miss out.